Hi, my name is Rich Kutchman with Strategic Self-Reliance and Defense. And in today's video, we are going to cover the D or disability slash deficit part of the primary assessment. We're talking about the primary assessment when we cover wilderness first aid or emergency medical technician courses. Same approach. We use a mnemonic. It's ABCDE. Again, this is the primary assessment, or what they call the initial assessment. It's it's that very quick, down and dirty, looking for life-threatening problems that you need to fix, or the patient will die. Okay? In previous videos, we covered ABC, airway, breathing, circulation. Today, we're going to cover D, which is disability or deficit, depending on the book that you use. Thank you for joining me. We're in the workshop today. Wife relegated me to the workshop barn today because she's working in the house. I've got my cigar, I got my beer, I've got my barn cats watching me, indifferent to this. And we're going to cover this in a nutshell, okay? So, again, remember the primary assessment is a quick down and dirty life-threatening injuries and intervene. We've covered A, B, C. We make it to D, disability or deficit, okay? Basically two things you're looking at in deficit or disability. One is, what is their mental state? Now, you've probably got a pretty good handle on this already. And honestly, I've kind of made an assessment on this in the very beginning. When I approach somebody with airway, hey, what's going on? How are you? Do you need help? And they start talking to me. I know their airway's open. They're talking. And they're making sense. Ooh, okay, good. They're making sense. They're oriented. They're with it. They're with us, right? There's no mental status issues. Right? That's part of it. The mental status side of it is one half of deficit or disability. The other half is cervical spine or spinal cord injuries. Right? That's the other issue that we got to deal with in deficit or disability. So let's talk about the mental status side of it first. All right, so if you're talking to them, you've been talking to them for this, 20, 30 seconds while you've done A, B, and C, and they've made sense. Yeah, that deer jumped out in front of me on my bike, and I laid it down and I wrecked. Um, they tell you their name and all, everything about them, and they're making sense, right? You can go on the assumption that mental status wise, their brain is working okay. Right? If there's a question, you can use this AVPU scale, the AVPU scale: alert, verbal, painful, or physical, depending on which book you look at, and then unresponsive, right? So if you roll up on somebody, you've gone through ABC, you get to D, and you're trying to determine what is their level of consciousness, what is their level of responsiveness, what is their mentation like, okay? How's their brain working? If they're talking to you normal, they're A, alert. If they're kind of in and out of it, and the only time they respond to you is when you yell at them, hey, wake up, tell me what happened, then they're responsive to V, verbal. If you can yell at them all day and they don't move, and it's not until you shake their shoulder or rub their sternum or squeeze their shoulder, like the Vulcan death, pinch, that's physical or painful stimuli to respond. And then if they don't respond to anything, they're U, unresponsive. AVPU is one. It's another mnemonic for you. AVPU. It's a way of determining mental, to put a label on what is their mental status. Okay, level of consciousness, level of responsiveness. Okay, the other half beyond AVPU is looking at what was the mechanism of injury, the MOI. Was it a motorcycle wreck? Was it a fall downstairs? Did they dive into a shallow pool? Something that leads you to believe they may have a spinal cord injury, neck injury, or spinal cord injury. You may have to put them in what we call spinal precautions. So if the MOI is such that it's likely, or if they tell you, they have neck pain, or they can't feel their feet, or they can't feel their fingers, or they can't move, spinal injury, right? You presume they have a spinal injury and you take those precautions. Right? So the first thing to do is you roll up on somebody, tell them, hey, don't move. Just lay perfectly still, and then start your assessment. A, B, C, you get to D. Keep reminding them, don't move your head, don't turn your neck. Just lay there still. If you got an extra set of hands, they can hold their head in alignment so their C-spine is straight, so they don't injure it, they don't forget, and they move. That's even better. Gently put their, okay, don't move, remain very still. Put your hand on their forehead, right? Again, if somebody else is available, have them hold C-spine precautions. They can kneel up, put their knees right to the top of their head and hold their head in alignment. Spinal precautions is simply keeping that whole spinal column from the neck down in perfect alignment. Okay? So that means if you're going to turn them to look at their back, you need to what we call log roll them. So take at least a couple of people, one person to hold the head, and at least one person to turn the body. And somebody holds the head, and we're going to turn on 3, 1, 2, 3, and you turn them as a unit. So everything stays in perfect alignment. That's spinal precautions. Now, if you're trained, it would be things like putting them on a backboard and strapping them down and head blocks and things. But the key is, for disabilities, ab view and spinal precautions. Keeping their head in alignment and not torquing them around, not moving them around, not letting them move around, because they might not appreciate the level of their injury and they might want to get up and move. Okay? So you got to remind them. All right, so that's D. D, deficit or disability in a nutshell. Okay. Again, thanks for watching today, and in the next video we'll cover the last of the mnemonic, E, exposure or environment, as far as the primary assessment goes. Again, my name is Rich Kutchman with Strategic Self-Reliance and Defense. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you in class.